Right, we're back again. HODLing Room podcast. I'm TC. We've got Mike here as well. How are we doing?
Good, cheers. How are you?
I'm alright. Not bad. You've just bought the Andreas Antonopoulos book.
Sure have. Is that backwards to you?
No, that's normal. That.
Oh, it's just backwards to me.
I've actually been watching this week.
Crazy.
Is it deep?
Yeah, it's like everything that you want to know. I've just found it was even quite helpful for this whole like not core stuff in certain places. It's obviously not specific for that, but there's certain things that I couldn't figure out in my head. And it's just like little things like this where it's just so helpful to visually see it. So this is like
a blockchain.
That's a Merkle tree. So it's basically it's all to do with like mining and stuff, like this sort of section. But it just it really helped me to visually see this, and I also just think things like that will just help me to explain things to people as well, where it's like I kind of knew how that bit works, but just seeing that it's just so helpful because it's just like really simple. Because if you actually look at the actual mining thing, it's way confusing. And I've sort of managed to get here with AI before. Can you see that?
Yeah.
But you see like the way it like shows each part of a mining block, and it's kind of like that bit there is just explaining what the Merkle tree is. So that is
I've never even heard of that.
Tree. So yeah, the Merkle root. I can't remember what is a Merkle root.
I've just been rewatching. I didn't realise that Antonopoulos has been on Joe Rogan podcast 4 times.
Has he really?
Yeah, I've been rewatching them all, and so they're honestly like he was so far ahead of like things. It's mental. One of the ones he was talking basically had like a 2.5 hour podcast with Joe Rogan. It must have been like 2013 or 14 or something like this.
Yeah.
But they're basically just talking about Bitcoin for the entire 2.5 hours. And it's like, it would have been about £300-400 per Bitcoin. Like that must have orange pilled so many people. They're talking about
even be that.
Well, they were talking about it being $600. So what kind of year? What kind of year would that have been?
Well, I mean, probably.
It's been on quite a few times.
Let's have a look.
And he was even talking about things like, he was talking about the one I was listening to last night, which I think was the first one. He was talking about content creators online being paid in Bitcoin, where people pay to stream. And he's basically talking about apps like Fountain and Nostr, but before they existed.
No way.
Joe Rogan is like, nah, it's never going to happen. Like people aren't going to pay for that, like because people hate paying for content online. Everything's free. And Antonopoulos is like, yeah, but how much are you? You're talking about paying like £5 a month. This is going to be like 1,000th of a penny, just to listen to your favorite streamer. And that's how people are going to, get paid moving forward. So he's talking about these things like Fountain before it was a thing.
Yeah. So on Fountain, is that how it works? Like if someone listens to you, are they literally like...
You can do that, yeah. You can do...
but you have to manually set that up yourself, do you? Like
it's called... the listener has to set that up. It's called value for value or stream for sat. You can basically set the amount of sats that you want to pay the content creator, and it could be like 1 sat per minute or something like that.
Yeah.
So say you listen to their podcast for 10 minutes, they get 10 sats. Say you listen for an hour and a half, they get 90 sats kind of thing. So you can set it to do that, and then they automatically get it. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
but I still haven't got my head around Fountain yet.
Yeah. No, I just haven't dug into it all properly.
I mean, this podcast is on Fountain, so
try it. If you're listening, try it. We'll tell
because
you
I don't think we've had any sats on Fountain yet.
Yeah, it didn't only just go on. Was it a couple of weeks ago or something?
Yeah. Yeah, still
because we thought it was on, but it wasn't on, wasn't it? Like,
I can't remember. We're only 15 years behind Antonopoulos. he's probably already. I mean, I haven't even heard of him do anything recently.
Yeah, what it is he basically has been a bit like outcasted.
He's probably living on his own island.
he wrote a book about Ethereum, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's become a shitcoiner," and like that's it.
Really?
Like, yeah, that's the end of him. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah. Tits. Arse. Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure.
Sorry, I was looking at the date anyway. So from this is 2016. It's 640, but I mean, in 2013, it went up to like 1,000. So
right. So it was probably 2016.
Sort of like, it went back down to what's this? 2015. It's $200. Looks like it never really went back below $200 after it got to 1,000. So it could be any time from there, like 2013 to.
Yeah, it look. He's been on 4 times. He was on twice in 2004, 3 times in 2014, and then once in 2016.
Yeah, so 2014 is the first time it really became big, because not big obviously, but like as in it went from like $100 to $1,000 at the end of 2013.
Yeah.
So that's that 4-year cycle. So that's the end of the 4-year cycle, 2013, and then 2017, 2021, 2025, which is where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then in 2014, that was like the bear market where it's like come down. Again, should I just show? I'm only using CoinGecko here.
Get it up.
There's nothing fancy. Just showing what I'm seeing. So yeah, like it went, from like basically 100 up to 1,000 end of 2013. Then it had this massive.
Basically, did a 10x straight away.
Yeah, but I mean, if you just went like a bit back before that, I don't know if CoinGecko doesn't go any further back than that. It was like basically $1, like maybe a year before, or like 2 years before. So it went from like nothing. So it did like 100. Well, what's that? 1,000x in a couple of years, and then 2014 was like the bear market. Where same as what we always see. I don't know if I showed you this before, but like what always tends to happen is there always is like a massive crash, then there's like this renewed hope, and then it's this patch here where people keep like piling in, thinking, oh, it's gonna keep going up, and we'll 100%, like if there is the same thing that happens again, that same thing will happen. But this is the issue with it, is like you just don't know. Like, so it kind of already happened in, what was it, start of 2025. So do you remember April? It's not that long ago, just a few months, like 6 months ago. This same thing. So people here were calling like, well, this is it, and this was the whole Trump tariff. And then it started having this relief rally here, and people were like, oh, no, it's about to die off again. It's just doing what I just showed you, where it bounces back up, and people think, oh, we're about to go again. And people are then calling for it to like come down and roll off from there. But then obviously it didn't. It just kept grinding up. This is the issue, is like, you never really know. So it's just always best to just be humble. Dollar cost average. Yeah, that's it.
Did you see that massive, like, them big red candles in the week?
Yeah. So
what was that about?
There's always a narrative. It's always nothing. It's always like they'll just make something up. It won't really show on here, to be fair, because I should really just use TradingView. Is it better? But I think it actually did go down to about 105, but it doesn't show the wick there. People are saying
it was everything, though, wasn't it? Pretty much.
Trump tariff again, and then like he's saying 100% on China. But this is the thing that I've noticed with it, is everything, they just assign a narrative to something, and then it helps people explain it away.
It helps people digest what's happening. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
whereas it's never really like that. Like, as in.
So what you're saying is the powers that be lie.
No, never.
They lie and bullshit to us.
Yeah, I don't even know if it is always that. It's sometimes just like, as humans, we want to explain things away, and it's like, if you look at MicroStrategy right now, like people cannot fathom, how can Bitcoin be at all-time highs but MicroStrategy isn't? Like, it, to some people, if you're just using your fundamental logical brain, it's like it just makes no sense. But
Yeah.
it's a market, and that's the thing. It doesn't have to make sense. Like there's so many things that happen in markets which make zero sense, and you just have to stop being so precious about certain narratives and like how things have to, and stop saying, oh, this has to happen because of that. And it's like what I'm saying as well about like the whole 4-year cycle. I really do think we are not, we're still going to have a like some sort of peak at the end of this year, and I would expect it to go down towards the end of next year. Yeah. However, I'm fully aware that it might not, which is why I'm not just going to sell all of my Bitcoin, or like I'm going to sell any of my Bitcoin. Like I'm not selling it. I'm just. I know what you mean.
Anything can happen, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just with my other assets, it's like those I would like to put into cash or something, like that. And rather than just buying Bitcoin straight away, I might buy some Bitcoin, but hold some cash. Like, I just think for this next year, it's important to have cash. But my point is, like, I have no idea really, and it's not like it could just keep going up, which is what the narrative is now. Is like the end of the 4-year cycles, which was the same narrative in 2017, by the way, or 2021 and 2017. So it's just the same thing that keeps happening over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think
same shit, different day.
Yeah, just being humble and knowing that you're not going to know everything, and no one's going to know everything, and anyone that says that they know exactly what's going to happen is lying. They're probably trying to get some money from you somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, let me stop sharing that.
Well, my node is about 76.59% synchronized.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's getting there.
Nice.
See if I can share this actually. Can you see that?
Yes.
I don't think I've doxed myself on that.
There's nothing on there, is there?
So I'm at 830,000 blocks, and it's been running for 3 days. So I don't fully understand everything about it yet, but I am getting there. I've gone for the cheap option, which is basically like Raspberry Pi. You've gone massive now on the screen. Let me change this back up. I've gone for a Raspberry Pi, a 2 terabyte hard drive, and that's basically it. So it was about 150 quid.
That is so good.
Yeah. But
that's crazy.
It's DIY, literal DIY. Like, got 2 terabyte hard drive that I had to buy a case for because I didn't even have a case. Raspberry Pi, and it was called a heat sink, which basically is like a case for the Raspberry Pi to keep it cool.
Ah.
And then that's it. And I've plugged it in via Ethernet cable, and I'm still getting my head around it. But it's basically its own kind of network on my home internet. So once that's up and running, it should be good. And I had a masterclass from our mate.
Yeah, that's so good.
I've set up on it. I've got my own mempool, and Electrum. Is it Electrum server, Electrum wallet, or something like that? So I can basically, once it's up and running, we'll be able to send my own transactions.
So what is Electrum? Just like Sparrow?
Actually, I've got a Sparrow as well. He's written me a full printout of how to do all this stuff. That's how legendary our mate is. I'm not going to dox him. But yeah, it's Sparrow as well. So you'll be able to send transactions through Sparrow, drop them into your own mempool, and validate it through your own node. So this will be like the gold standard of
that's awesome.
Using Bitcoin.
I'm trying to work out what's Electrum. Just having a look. Electrum wallet, Bitcoin wallet. So
And I've just been playing around with Bisq as well. Have you heard of Bisq? You have,
Yeah,
haven't you?
so non-KYC stuff.
Yeah, which is, it's hard to get your head around. It's completely different than an exchange. It's basically like a decentralized exchange where it puts you in contact with other people that are wanting to buy and sell. So you basically put an order out, and you'll say, do you reckon I could share my screen on this one actually? Share screen. Bisq. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So you basically, these things at the bottom are people that are wanting to which one is it? Yeah, the ones on the right are people you want to buy from. So somebody's on there saying, right, I've got 0.005 to 0.01 Bitcoin, and I'm going to sell it to you at this price, and it'll basically put you in contact with them, and you then Bisq creates like an escrow for you, so you will then get in contact with the person and send them your money via bank transfer or whatever. They will send you the coins, or I think they use an escrow service like a middleman, and then as soon as both people have received it, both funds get released. So it's peer-to-peer, but you are paying a bit of a premium. I'm still trying to get my head around this chart as well, but it's non-KYC basically. So it effectively puts you in touch with somebody. You say, right, I want to buy 1 Bitcoin for this price. This is, here's my details. Thanks very much. But at the minute, I put up a little tester where I said, right, I want to buy £100 worth of Bitcoin, and I want to pay market price, because you can say I want to pay 1% below market price or 2% below market price, and people can choose to sell it to you. Or if you want it in a rush, you might say, right, well, I'll pay 2% above market price, and then somebody say, okay, well, I'll sell that to you. But at the minute, it's been running for a few days. I've had nobody take up my offer. It basically works on how long you've had the account is like how verified of a seller you are. So some people on there, I've been on there like 2 days, but some people have been on there like 2,000 days, so they're more verified. But so it's basically just learning how to do it at the minute.
Yeah, something that I found really interesting. So I've had most of the Bitcoin Way calls now. Now I've got the node and like the hardware wallet.
Is it up and running?
Yeah. I've practiced transactions and everything. But the thing that I found really interesting about the cold card, I don't know if this is the same with a seed signer or other things like that, but you can basically just have as many wallets on there as you want. So you use your 24 words as your private keys. That's the word. And then
What are yours, by the way?
Then the 25th word is
that BIP.
It's basically like its own wallet. So you can do as many of them as you want, like billion of them or something.
Yes, that makes sense.
The thing that I was thinking about is so because I've moved my Bitcoin to this 25th word wallet, and it's come from Ledger and it's been through KYC and all of that. Yeah, I think it's basically like if someone wanted to, they could find out who you are and stuff like that, or whatever.
Yeah, that's the downside of KYC. If it gets leaked,
whereas
if you go on,
sorry, just so where like if I wanted to buy non-KYC like through Bisq or through mining, say you got some like a mining pool or something like that, you could then just set up another 25th word and just keep that separate, so there's no chance of that getting like mingled with the other stuff.
I think that would be essential. If you've got KYC Bitcoin and non-KYC, you would have to keep them separate. That would be like imperative. Because
I think technically you don't, because of the UTXOs, it just becomes confusing.
Well, you don't you don't have to. But I mean, for the reasons that you said, let's say that you've bought from Coinbase and you've been KYC'd, and that they have a data leak, which they probably will. They have one of about every 2 days. Then somebody says, okay, Mike over the years has bought 25 Bitcoin, oh, I'm going to go after Mike, but you've
Yeah.
actually got an extra 5, which is non-KYC'd.
Yeah.
You know, that you don't want them to know that you've got this, and you also don't want any, you know, authorities to know that you've got this non-KYC stuff. So that will be, it's almost like completely secret in a way.
Yeah.
But the extra, that makes sense with those extra BIP passwords. You could, because you can create a honeypot, can't you? So
yeah, so I mean, you could just create one where it's
You've got
like,
one
here you
wallet,
go,
but-
take
yeah.
this one, take all my Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like it's and it's not. But it was even for like with kids. I was thinking then I could just give them their own wallet. You know, just by
Mhm.
creating one new 25th word for each of them, and then they've got their own Bitcoin in self custody that
So
can't be touched. And just by doing that as well, I think it will make me much more like, that's not mine. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas if you just lump it all in one wallet, which is
So
really
it's
what
not
I've been
the
doing
same.
up to now,
It's not the same wallet then with that 25th word.
it's a completely separate thing. Yeah,
Completely separate wallet. And then
yeah,
if you have, because you're not going to have, because you've got the 24 words, and then your 25th word, the BIP password, will open up a wallet. Do you need? Is it a separate 25th word, or is it a 26th word you'll need?
it's
for a
just a
sep-
separate 25th
It's a separate
word.
25th. So you can
Yeah.
have the same 24 word seed phrase.
Yeah.
And you could have 5 different BIPs.
It sounds like you can have up to 1 billion or something, like
Well,
a
yeah.
ridiculous number. So as many as you want.
And it's that, and each one of those opens up access to a completely separate wallet.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's very
And
interesting.
so I was even thinking, like, even just for like business wise, I could just
Yeah.
have set up a new one for that as well, and then it's like it just keeps it separate.
Yeah.
But obviously, each time you do it, that's a whole other 25th password that you need to secure and look after.
Yeah.
So that's the downside. You don't want to just be doing it for every $10 or whatever, because that would just be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. So you could effectively have your non-KYC in a separate, and
Yeah.
you can have your KYC in a separate.
Which is, what I was thinking about is like trying to figure it out. I'll definitely have to speak to you more about the BISC thing. And how
Well,
easy was it just to get on it and set up?
Easy to get on. You just download the program on the computer, because all it is a decentralized exchange. So it's kind of like BitTorrent. You know, that all it does is it connects you with people that are looking to buy and sell. That's it. So it's a decentralized thing, and it uses Tor, so it's private.
Yeah.
All I had to do was you need to send a certain percentage of what you want to buy in Bitcoin as like a security fee, and they will hold that just to make sure that you're not trying to like diddle anybody.
Right.
But that was easy enough, and yeah, so far so good. But I haven't actually had a successful purchase on it yet.
Yeah.
So the cold card, you say you're using cold card.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Because that's complete cold storage, isn't it? Is it
Yeah.
like
So it's
offline?
never. Yeah, it's that whole air gaps thing. It's like never on the internet. Like you never plug it into anything. It's completely separate. So very similar to a seed signer, which our mate from the meetup he recommends. And
yeah, apparently
uses.
he said that cold card seed sign is open source, and apparently cold card just took that and just like made their own thing, and then sold it.
It sounds like they have just kind of like ripped it off. The main reason I went with cold card is purely just because I think it is a little bit more user friendly. The thing is with a seed signer is you need your 24 words every time you sign in, every time you access it, or you need a QR code.
Yeah.
And the issue with that, in my eyes, is that you need easy access to it all the time, which also just means you're constantly touching it, getting it out. Like, you know,
that's
like
a good point. Yeah.
And that, to be honest, that was the main reason for me that I was like, you know, I'd rather secure that away and not have to like get that out every time I want to make a transaction or log on to it or whatever. So
how does cold card work?
cold card is like it's like a 6-digit password. Then there's like 2 words, and then there's another 6-digit password sort of thing. You don't need to remember the 2 words, but those 2 words are basically like proving that you've entered it in right or something. So,
is it literally a card, like a steel card?
It's like a calculator.
Okay.
It looks like it's deliberately made to look like a calculator. Hang on, let me just get it. And I do really need to secure this away like better, but yeah, that is it.
Okay, very
It's
cool.
like a calculator. It's just, really small. So if you took that on the reason they made it look like that as well,
it's like a Game Boy, yeah.
Take that on an aeroplane. No one's ever going to think, at the moment anyway, no one will ever think that's Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
You just be like, that's a calculator. Just got a calculator. That's it.
So is that the signing device?
What do you mean by signing device? Like as in to make
sign your transactions?
How can I do it? Yes, you do need to use this
because
as well. Yeah,
with
use Sparrow and this.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what I mean. Like it comes up with a pin.
Yeah, that
you enter
cool,
six numbers. Then when you enter 6 numbers, just here it will like come up with the 2 words, which is basically saying that you've entered it right. You should know what those 2 words are, and then you enter the next 6, and then you log in.
And is it battery powered? You say?
Yeah, it's just battery. It's just like triple
That's
A's.
very cool.
That's it. Super easy. Tesco
batteries. Hold tight, Tesco.
Yeah.
And how much are they?
Somewhere around $200.
Mm.
So it's not cheap, and I think that's the thing. Like hardcore, old school Bitcoiners would be like, "What's the point?" But like that is the point. That's the point where I went for it anyway. If I don't want to have to. Pretty much the sole reason was I don't want to have to have a QR code that's easy access, or my 24 words that I have to type in manually every time. It just feels like a bit more of a faff. Like this is already a bit of a faff, but like that's an extra faff.
I mean, the way I see it is this is proper cold storage. This is not like a pocket change.
And this is the thing.
This is going to be for.
Yeah, the way that I see this is like that's it. Like then, I'd rather, even though I don't know, like a seed signer you can get for like $30 or something.
These are the
cheap
seed signers, if anybody's.
Yeah, is that how much they are? About $30, something like that.
No, I think they're a little bit more than that, but probably like 40 or 50. So this is basically like a 3D printed like little games console.
Yeah, they do look really cool.
Open source like camera on the back. So it's basically just to sign your transactions.
That's the camera.
Yeah. But this will be for like deep freeze cold storage stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like completely air gapped. Exactly. Any kind of like generational funds. This is the safest way to do it.
It's just those little things, like that. What was it that happened with
Bitbox?
Ledger
also available.
I think even Bitbox was on. Like, if your stuff was on there, you couldn't transact basically for like a couple of days because of something going on. Do you remember this?
Oh,
quite recently?
This was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
This was that Java. It was a JavaScript exploit or something, wasn't it? Basically, yeah. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was on those devices that uses Java. That had basically been hijacked, so it was showing on the screen your address, but actually it was sending to a different address. I think it's been sorted out now, but
I don't think it was long. I don't think it was even a couple of days, but I just remember seeing people say, "Do not send any Bitcoin until you get the all clear," sort of thing. So, whereas if you had this, you'd be fine. Like there would be no issue at all.
I think Bitbox was fine as well, but Ledger I think was one of the main, because the guy from the CTO of Ledger actually did come out and say like, don't make any transactions at the minute. Which is a bit scary.
Exactly. So yeah, that's really the main reason for why I went with this anyway, and got this. Is just because it's like you say, it's just totally cold. Anyway, shall we do some of the book?
Let's do it. We're at a good chapter at the minute. Share screen. Right then, so we are on chapter 7 of the Bitcoin Standard, Sound Money and Individual Freedom.
Okay, so governments believe that when there is a choice between an unpopular tax and a very popular expenditure, there is a way out for them, the way toward inflation. This illustrates the problem of going away from the gold standard. Ludwig von Mises. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I've heard the name. I think is he like an economist, like Hayek or something like that?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I've definitely heard the name. I can't think who it is. Under a sound monetary system, government had to function in a way that is unimaginable to generations reared on the 20th century news cycle. They had to be fiscally responsible. Without a central bank capable of increasing the money supply to pay off the government debt, government's budgets had to obey the regular rules of financial responsibility, which apply to every healthy, normal entity, and which monetary nationalism has attempted to repeal and state education attempted to obfuscate. For those of us alive today, raised on the propaganda of the omnipotent governments of the 20th century, it is often hard to imagine a world in which individual freedom and responsibility supersede government authority. By the way, just a quick note, I've heard Saifedean say that he thinks this book is perfectly fine for all like high schools to learn about Bitcoin. Like I sometimes read it, I'm like, I don't even know what that word is. So yeah, it's just funny how some people see things.
It's a tough book to start on, definitely, but
yeah,
it's definitely there.
Yeah, exactly. It's everything that you need in one. Yet such was the state of the world during the periods of greatest human progress and freedom. Government was restrained to the scope of protection of national borders, private property, and individual freedoms, while leaving to individuals a very large magnitude of freedom to make their own choices and reap the benefits or bear the costs. We start by critically examining the question of whether the money supply needs to be managed by the government in the first place before moving to consider the consequences of what happens when it is. Should government manage the money supply? The fundamental scam of modernity is the idea that government needs to manage the money supply. It is an unquestioned starting assumption of all mainstream economic schools of thought and political parties. There isn't a shred of real-world evidence to support this contention, and every attempt to manage the money supply has ended with economic disaster. Money supply management is the problem, masquerading as its solution. The triumph of emotional hope over hard-headed reason. The root of all political free lunches sold to gullible voters. It functions like a highly addictive and destructive drug, such as crystal meth or sugar. It causes a beautiful high at the beginning, fooling its victims into feeling invincible, but as soon as the effect subsides, the come down is devastating and has the victim begging for more. It's literally where we are now.
Yeah. I was reading something in the week where it was talking about this, where when you have like a central authority basically soothing economic crises and making it artificially stable on the surface, it creates like a fragility under the surface. So like, for example, like the West is constantly obsessed with like GDP, and that's the kind of like the only indicator of economic health is the GDP. But when they've got this kind of this hand at the top trying to keep things safe, inorganically it creates turmoil under the surface, and the whole thing becomes incredibly fragile. Whereas Bitcoin, because it's more of a free market, it just kind of sorts itself out. And this is that whole like anti-fragile thing, which I haven't fully got my head around yet, but it's a lot more versatile and a lot more it's just a lot more of an organic system rather than this, which might look good on the surface, but under the surface, when you try and top-down force health on the economy, it's just like rotten underneath, and you know, we're feeling the rot at the minute.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. This is when the hard choice needs to be made: either suffer the withdrawal effects of seizing the addiction, or take another hit, delay the reckoning by a day, and sustain severe long-term damage. And that's kind of exactly
money
what
printer.
you're saying. Yeah,
That's the money printer, exactly.
It's like, you can't do that with Bitcoin. You can't do it with gold. You can't just take that extra hit. It's like,
it is an addiction. Yeah, I mean, it's somebody once said to me like, things like addiction is a form of biological usury, right? Which I thought was quite interesting. You know, let's say you take steroids, for example, right? And you're like, right, I'm gonna get a year's worth of like gains in the gym in 1 month, right? Well, that's like a form of usury. You're taking a loan out on your own health. You're gonna get that all up front in a month. But 5 years down the line, you're going to have a heart attack and you're going to die. So that will come knocking, like the interest payments will come. And it's exactly the same as this. It's like, you can have it now, but you've got to pay for it in the future. And it's going to, if you want more now, it's going to be even worse in the future. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what it looks like coming down.
It's like, it's the same with everything. Me and my wife at the weekend actually just had a big long conversation about a very similar thing to this. It was about 6 months ago that her dad died, a bit unexpectedly as well, and so we realized we were both just like, why do we feel so tired, so stressed, so like everything just feels bad at the moment? And I was like, to be fair, like when you think about it, since that's happened, we have just slipped back into terrible habits of like sitting in front of the TV, eating chocolate, you know, like a lot,
smoking crack.
Yeah, I mean, well, luckily in a lot of ways, I haven't been drinking for a couple of years, so that's, you know, I haven't been falling back on that, but I've definitely just been like eating crap and just whereas we tend to try and like not be in front of the TV, like read a book, have chat, like go have dinner together, like round the table rather than on the sofa. And we've just literally like every night for months now, for the first time in ages, we've just been doing this. Like, and it wasn't, you know, like at first it just felt like it was like a release, and you know, it's exactly, it just relates to this. That's the way that I see it. As I'm reading this, that's just what I was thinking of, like how it felt good. You got that high at first and it's like a distraction, and then but just slowly over time it's like you just feel tired. We're going to bed later, you're getting less sleep, and it's not like, you know, if you get an hour less sleep on one night, it makes no difference. But if you do that for 6 months, then like you realise, hang on, what's going on? You just feel a bit like all over the place, and so
but
it's
then
just good habits, isn't it, really?
Going back to the whole narrative thing, when I think even the average Joe now is feeling shit from this economic system, you know, everybody's feeling it, but they're not sure exactly why they're feeling it. They haven't figured it out yet. So this is why, you know, these banks and media and whatnot feed these narratives, just to kind of think, oh, it's not us, don't look at the money, it's, you know, XYZ, you know, that's why you're feeling so shit. You know?
It's always something that's this war in like another country or whatever, you know, it's always someone else's
it's climate change
fault.
Or whatever.
Exactly. Right, so for Keynesian and Marxist economists and other proponents of the state theory of money, money is whatever the state says is money, and therefore it is the prerogative of the state to do with it as it pleases, which is going to inevitably mean printing it to spend on achieving state objectives. The aim of economic research then is to decide how best to expand the money supply and to what ends. But the fact that gold has been used as money for thousands of years, from before nation states were even invented, is in itself enough refutation of this theory. The fact that central banks still hold large amounts of gold reserves and are still accumulating more of it testifies to gold's enduring monetary nature, in spite of no government mandating it. But whatever historical quibbles the proponents of the state theory of money may have with these facts, their theory has been obliterated before our very eyes over the last decade by the continued success and growth of Bitcoin, which has achieved monetary status and gained value exceeding that of most state-backed currencies, purely due to its reliable salability in spite of no authority mandating its use as money. I think it's now currently the 6th largest currency. If you just took all the world's currencies, I think Bitcoin is something like the 6th largest one, which makes his point there. There are today 2 main government-approved mainstream schools of economic thought, Keynesians and Monetarists. While these 2 schools have widely disparate methodologies and analytical frameworks, and while they are engaged in bitter academic fights, accusing each other of not caring about the poor, the children, the environment, inequality, or the buzzword de jour, they both agree on 2 unquestionable truths. First, the government has to expand the money supply. Second, both schools deserve more government funding to continue researching really important big questions, which will lead them to find ever more creative ways of arriving at the first truth.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. How can we print more money, and how can we find more excuses to print more money? How can we create more narratives to print more money? I mean, the whole COVID thing was like, how far into lockdown did they start printing more money? Was it basically instantly, or because I think it was pretty much. It was March 2020, wasn't it? Where they were like, right, lockdown, and then the furlough and the free money came a few months after that. So, part of me is thinking like, because that was a big print, that was a massive print, wasn't it, during lockdown? Yeah. So part of me was like
a third of its existing M2, I think.
Yeah, just
in the space of about a year.
It was like the steepest, chart going. Part of me was probably thinking like, hang on, so do you reckon they just needed an excuse to print this cash?
Yeah, 100%.
There we go. Yeah.
It would be
and that was a big narrative. Like, that was the most mental thing ever. Like, global lockdown. And they're going to need another big print in a few years if you if anything is to go by, that they have to keep printing. So I wonder what the next narrative will be. Probably alien invasion. That would be a good one. They're like, right guys, aliens have invaded and it's caused economic turmoil, so we're just going to have to print more money because nobody wants to go to work.
Oh my word, I'm going to have to share this. This is actually...
Go on, shall I stop sharing?
So it was March 2023, wasn't it?
2020.
2020, sorry.
Yeah.
It's actually February 2020. That's where the spike happens. So it's actually before COVID really started.
Interesting.
Which I do think is crazy.
I think that COVID was around then, but I think that was the lockdowns in March.
So it's gone up 40% in 2 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
40% of the money spent. So that is literally the equivalent of everyone's money decreasing by 40% in 2 years.
Yeah, that's a
big... And no one even like...
That's a big stealth tax.
Does anyone even know this? It's like 15 trillion to 22 trillion, so 7 trillion. Yeah, it's literally like... That's insane.
And the next one's going to have to be even bigger.
Exactly. And then obviously they've like tapered it off, so everyone's like, they've got it under control.
Quantitative tightening.
It's almost like it's just the speed of it and the aggressiveness of it, which is what does the damage. 2008, the great financial crisis. Look at that compared to that. It's like nothing. You can't even notice it.
Yeah.
And it's just...
I'm just reading here. So the Fed slashed interest rates to 0% and launched unlimited quantitative easing in March 2020. And then they said M2 had risen from about 15 trillion to 21.7, so 40% increase, yeah. The United Kingdom in March 2020 launched 200 billion QE, and then by June expanded to 300 billion. By November, expanded again to 895 billion. So the Bank of England printed almost £1 trillion.
So what were they starting at, Bank of England?
Let's have a look. It was a 35% increase.
So about the same.
A couple of trillion.
It's just mad, isn't it? And yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, it's mad when you think of it. It's basically it's a tax. It's a stealth tax.
It's really just theft. I think that's the thing.
It's theft, yeah.
That because the difference is with tax is that people are like aware of it and are, you have to physically pay it. If you run your own business, you receive the money first. You have to put the tax aside and then you pay it. So you're 100% aware of that. Whereas,
which is still theft.
To a certain
it's enforced by violence in a way. It's like, you don't want to pay it. Well, we will literally put you in jail. We'll take all your shit. So it's like, but it's voluntary. You got to do. No, it's enforced by violence. So, it's an extortion racket basically, enforced by violence.
But the thing is with inflation is that no one has like voted for this.
It's a subtle tax.
No one agrees to it. No one's even really aware of it unless they're weird and doing stuff like us. So
this was the issue, I think, with the Bank of England originally. I think it was World War One, or was it World War Two, where they tried to get funds to go to war. I think it might have been World War One. They tried to get funds, and I think they like created some war bonds or something like that, to basically fund the war. But nobody at all bought them because nobody wanted, like none of the population wanted it. So they just started printing money instead.
It's just,
they wouldn't be able to get away with this war if it was actually taxed.
Well, yeah, I think that's the big thing, isn't it?
Or any of these things.
The point he makes in this book a lot is that without the money printer, World War One and World War Two would not have lasted anywhere near as long as they did.
Yeah.
If it was just through a gold standard, when you run out of gold, that's it. Whereas the UK pretty much ran out of gold after World War One, but still can manage to continue with World War Two. So it's just
and I think more and more other countries now are starting to see, like the dollar, for example. A lot of these like countries in the Middle East, and they're starting to be like, well, we don't want them shitty dollars. We don't want that. It's literally like it's backed by nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're all like accumulating gold now, really, aren't they? They have been for ages, China and Russia, to be fair. So it's not like it's just overnight.
Let me reshare if it works. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Can you see that? Yeah.
Can now.
Do you want me to take over, or?
Sure. Yeah.
It's important to understand the different rationales for the two schools of thought in order to understand how they can both arrive at the same conclusion and be equally wrong. Keynes was a failed investor and statistician who never studied economics but was so well connected with the ruling class in Britain that the embarrassing drivel he wrote in his most famous book, The General Theory of Employment, Money and Interest, was immediately elevated into the status of founding truths of macroeconomics. His theory begins with the completely unfounded and unwarranted assumption that the most important metric in determining the state of the economy is the level of aggregate spending across society. That would be GDP, wouldn't it? Is that what he means? The level of aggregate spending across society. I assume so. When society collectively spends a lot, the spending incentivizes producers to create more products, thus employing more workers and reaching full employment equilibrium. If spending rises too much beyond the capacity of producers to keep up, it would lead to inflation and a rise in the overall price level. On the other hand, when society spends too little, producers reduce their production, firing workers and increasing unemployment, resulting in a recession. Recessions for Keynes are caused by abrupt reductions in the aggregate level of spending. Keynes was not very good with grasping the concept of causality and logical explanations, so he never quite bothered to explain why it is that spending levels might suddenly drop. Instead, just coining another of his famous clumsy and utterly meaningless figures of speech to save him the hassle of an explanation. He blamed it on the flagging of, quote, animal spirits. To this day, nobody knows exactly what these animal spirits are or why they might suddenly flag, but that of course has only meant that an entire cottage industry of state-funded economists have made a career out of attempting to explain them or finding real-world data that can correlate to them. This research has been very good for academic careers, but is of no value to anyone actually trying to understand business cycles. Put bluntly, pop psychology is no substitute for capital theory. Freed from the restraint of having to find a cause of the recession, Keynes can then happily recommend the solution he is selling. Whenever there is a recession or a rise in the unemployment level, the cause is a drop in the aggregate level of spending, and the solution is for the government to stimulate spending, which will in turn increase production and reduce unemployment. There are three ways of stimulating aggregate spending: increase the money supply, increasing government spending, or reducing taxes. Reducing taxes is generally frowned upon by Keynesians. It is viewed as the least effective method because people will not spend all the taxes they don't have to pay. Some of that money will be saved, and Keynes absolutely detested saving. Saving would reduce spending, and reducing spending would be the worst thing imaginable for an economy seeking recovery. It was the government's role to impose high time preference on society by spending more or printing money. Seeing as it is hard to raise taxes during a recession, government spending would effectively translate to increasing the money supply. This then was the Keynesian holy grail. Whenever the economy was not at full employment, an increase of the money supply would fix the problem. There is no point worrying about inflation because, as Keynes had showed, i.e. baselessly assumed, inflation only happens when spending is too high, and because unemployment is high, that means spending is too low. There may be consequences in the long run, but there was no point worrying about long-term consequences because, quote, in the long run, we are all dead. That's good. As Keynes' most famous defence of high time preference, libertine irresponsibility famously stated. Yeah, as Keynes' most famous defence of high time preference, libertine irresponsibility famously stated. I don't know if you remember, but I seem to remember at some point that we were told by the government, it might have been around 2008, that we were told by the government, oh, we must go out and spend. Do you remember that? I remember being like a kid, so it was probably around that time.
Do you not remember COVID?
Well, I do.
Where Boris saying, get back in the pub, on the advert on the bus, and then he got COVID himself or something.
There was the whole eat out to help out scheme. Yeah. Well, I remember that. I think it must have been around 2008 as well. Basically, the Prime Minister at the time came out and was like, spend. We need to stimulate the economy. We need you to spend.
Yeah, I don't really... Funny enough, I was just speaking about that the other day. It was like, because I was Yeah, I was at uni in 2007 to 2010, so right around that time, and I do not remember anything wrong with anything at that time. It was just so, because you're just in a bubble. You're just in your own little bubble at uni. Like, you don't even realise anything's happening, and so it's weird that patch of time. It's like a totally different. I don't know if that's what everyone's experience is at uni, but like it's just a bit of a joke really in the UK. I can't believe like you actually do that and live like that for those years, and
yeah,
it's terrible. It makes no sense, and then you just get in debt, and you have to go and get a job to pay it off for the rest of your life, sort of thing. So it makes no sense to me now. I'm like, why does anyone do this?
Yeah, I mean, I was too much of a dunce to actually get into any uni. I couldn't even get into Derby uni, and that was saying something. So I missed that whole thing. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, it is it honestly is a
I mean, how
joke.
much is it now, uni?
I don't know, like 10 grand a year or something.
Yeah, literally.
So when I went, it was about 3 grand a year.
That's not too bad, but then they spiked it up to, went from 3 to 9 minimum or something?
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if that's what it is now. I haven't looked for ages, but last time I looked, it was somewhere around 9, between 9 and 10 or something.
Per year?
Per year. Yeah, in the US, I think it's a whole other level. Like,
really?
I think, people come out of college from in America with like 200 grand of debt in some places, so I don't know how much they pay each year or how long it goes on for, but yeah, it's a bit of a joke, really.
Right. Where were we? Do you want to do this next bit?
We're at the Keynesian view of the economy.
Yeah.
So the Keynesian view of the economy is, of course, at complete odds with reality. If Keynes's model had any truth to it, it would then necessarily follow that there can be no example of a society experiencing high inflation and high unemployment at the same time. Let me read that again. If Keynes's model had any truth to it, it would then necessarily follow that there can be no example of a society experiencing high inflation and high unemployment at the same time.
Yeah, because he said that inflation is a good thing, and it means that more people are. Well, let's have a read back. Whenever the economy was not at full employment, an increase of the money supply would fix the problem.
Right. Yeah. So that I think this is where we're about to head into now. So I think for this next year, a lot of people are going to get unemployed for various reasons. There'll be that whole debt spiral unraveling thing, which I've mentioned a few times, where if a business or a person or whoever, a country, cannot pay their debt, they end up defaulting. They end up having to sell lots of assets to try and cover their costs, which means that businesses go out of business, people lose their jobs, and that's the spiral sort of thing. And so if that happens, that will be when the big print will happen. So potentially towards the end of 2026 is again, this is my base case. It doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen, and I'm open to anything else completely happening, but I think it's always important to have some sort of idea of what you think's about to happen. And that would then cause massive inflation, and there would be a lot of unemployment around that time, sort of thing. And then that massive money printing. What has happened the last 2 times I've done it, 2008 and 2020 in particular, has been a boost back to the economy, and like the stock market looks all right and people get their jobs back. So I think they're just going to go heavy with it. And I don't think it's going to have the same impact as what they've seen the last 2 times. So unemployment will stay high. Inflation will get out of control. They'll have to start raising interest rates like crazy, because they need to get inflation under control, because they know if hyperinflation happens, it's game over. Like, that's every time that's happened. You literally list them off: Argentina, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Germany, and Weimar Germany. Yeah. So that's the last thing that they want. But they will get to a stage where they're like, oh my god, nothing's working, and like, here's more money. Like, so it's just
smash the button, smash the red button.
Exactly. Anyway, but this has in fact happened many times, most notably in the United States in the 70s, when, in spite of the assurances of Keynesian economists to the contrary, and in spite of the entire US establishment, from President Nixon down to the free market economist Milton Friedman, adopting the refrain, "We're all Keynesians now," as the government took it upon itself to eliminate unemployment with increased inflation. Unemployment kept on rising as inflation soared. That's what I'm just talking about. Destroying the theory that there is a trade-off between these two. And that was the whole Margaret Thatcher era in the UK, where inflation just went crazy. So ask your mum about that, where if she had a house, inflation, interest rates went insane. There was like double-digit inflation. So imagine, do you own your house at the minute?
No.
So if you had a mortgage at the minute, let's just say it's 5% or something, and you pay $1,000 a month. We've literally just seen this as well, because in COVID the same thing happened. Like 2022, it did the same thing. So like my sister, her mortgage increased by like £800 a month or something.
Are they allowed to do that?
Well, it's just the interest rate. Like if you're, so this is the thing, like I think everyone's going to need to, like, if you do have a house, you have a mortgage within this next couple of years before inflation really kicks in, it's crucial to get as long a mortgage as possible, which in the UK is only really like 5-6 years. It's not very long. I think there are ways that you can get longer ones, but the reason being is because that's what happened to her, is that her mortgage was expiring, or her fixed rate one was expiring at exactly the time where interest rates were rocketing, like the end of 2022.
Okay.
So whereas if she refinanced like 6 months before, she would have got the same rate, and it's just crazy. Like that's what will happen. That's what happened in the 70s, basically.
So interest rates across the board go up, whether you've got like a car loan, a house, a mortgage, or even just a general bank loan, unless you've got it fixed in, which some loans are fixed APR.
I think in America you can get 30-year mortgages as well, like fixed. So if you're in the US, 100% just lock in your mortgage within these next couple of years, basically.
Yeah, that actually makes sense to do that.
What, to lock it in? Or?
To lock it in for as long as possible if you can. Because if inflation is a thing, then you would hope, it's almost like going down in the, your payments are, if they're staying the same, they're almost, for you, going down a little bit each month.
The reason people don't do that though is because, like right now, I mean, since 2008, interest rates have basically been at around zero, and then COVID happened, and 2022 inflation rates went, like, they just were like, no, we're getting, because of inflation, they were like, we cannot let this hyperinflate, we cannot let inflation. So that's the whole tapering of the budget, which I just showed you. Like, they reduced the M2 supply, and also they did two things at the same time. So they reduced how much money was flowing around, and also increased interest rates. So they're really the two levers that the Fed has, and it impacts the whole world. It's not just the US, because every country has to follow the US. And so that's what happened. So interest rates at the moment are like 4.5, I think, and it's about to go down again 25 basis points, whatever, like 0.25%. In the next one, and so that is it. This is why people don't lock it in at the moment. It's because they think, oh well, it's been at like zero for 15 years and now it's up to 5, so why would I lock this in?
Yes, interesting.
And so it probably is, within this next year, interest rates are probably going to fall off. And because the reason that they do that, the reason they drop interest rates, and the reason they print a ton of money is when shit's hitting the fan, basically.
Yeah.
It's when there's an issue in society and like unemployment rising and stuff. They're like, which is exactly what he's talking about here. We just print money and that will stop unemployment. That's their theory. But when it doesn't, which is what happened in the 70s, inflation just goes crazy, and it means interest rates have to rocket after them. Otherwise,
it's such an insane system.
It's just ridiculous.
Governed by
and everyone thinks it's
people.
normal. Like everyone thinks it's totally. Yeah. Anyway, it is about to say in any sane. So destroying the theory that the trade-off between these two. So in any sane society, Keynes's ideas should have been removed from economics textbooks and confined to the realm of academic comedy. Exactly like what we're saying.
Yeah, literally comedy. Yeah, it's like Idiocracy.
It is. Yeah. But in a society where government controls academia to a very large degree, I've got something to say about that, the textbooks continue to preach the Keynesian mantra that justified ever more money printing. Having the ability to print money, literally and figuratively, increases the power of any government. And any government looks for anything that gives it more power. Yeah. So I was actually speaking to one of my a very good friend who I known from since university and lived with him for a couple of years, and he's always been really skeptic about Bitcoin, and I understand, you know, and I've gone a long time without like really pushing it, just dripping things in here and there, not really saying much because I know what his take is on it. But recently I've been a lot more like, come on, see it, you've got to see it now. Like this is you haven't got like that long left now.
Exactly.
And so open your eyes, man. Like I've literally, you know, it's, what is it, leading the horse to water, but trying to make him drink. And his thing is like, but the thing is, every time that you recommend a book or a podcast or something like that, it's not from like academia or like, you know, he says this is not from like any authoritative official source. So he's like, why can't you send me like an economic book or something from like academia, basically, you know, like an official source? And it's like, because they are being paid off to like, if they said the truth, their whole job is gone, their whole livelihood is removed. So why they are fully incentivized not to tell you the truth.
Well, I mean, dude, like Seyfried is literally a professor of economics. So how much more academic do you want?
Yeah, but it doesn't count. It's like, yeah, but this is just some guy. Even though there's like, you could pick 10 other books, and they're all they give their sources and everything. Like even though they do that, it's like, nah.
Those kind of people, I don't think you can help those kind of people. I mean,
it's just because he is a really close friend. That's the thing. Yeah. You know, and it's like, yeah. But I guess I can just be like, well, I tried, or
you tried, yeah. Just tell him, have fun staying poor.
But bar like actually buying some Bitcoin for him, I don't know what else to do. Yeah. You know, it really is like,
you can't force. It's one of those things, you can't force people to see anything. It's, as soon as it clicks with somebody, it clicks, and that's it. Who knows what makes it click? But I had a friend of mine who, did you see that video I did where I was talking to my friend George in the car?
Yeah.
And he was asking questions about Bitcoin. Afterwards, he texted me and he was like, dude, why don't we get taught this in school? And it's literally what he's saying here. It's like, because why would they expose their scam via school? Like, having the ability to print money literally and figuratively increases the power of any government. Any government looks for anything that gives it more power. They're not gonna give the game away with academia, are they? Like, they're not going to teach it, oh, this is our scam, guys. It's backed by nothing. We can print out of thin air, and we're going to teach this in university. No, the universities is the first place that they target for narrative pushing, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, isn't it? But
yeah. But I reckon probably, like, I mean, what, you know your friend more than anybody, so you'll have to pick the book that would speak to him personally.
Well, also the big issue is that his job is within some sort of like credit card company, so his job would not exist.
Fully in it.
Yeah,
he's fully in it. Yeah, it's like any kind of, it's like during COVID, any kind of, if you spoke to anybody that is like works for the NHS,
Yeah.
they were like deep in it, fully in it.
Which also I do understand, because like my sister is a doctor, and so she was, and like she was going into work every day, and it was chaos. It was like, you know, they're overrun, they're having to turn people away, and those people are like dying, and it's like, fair enough. I mean, like, there is no point in, like you said, there's no point in having this conversation, because the point being, is totally different.
People like that would have been, they've been trained by this system so much that there's a lot more for them to unlearn. Whereas you take a dunce like me, who didn't even get into Derby University, right? There's less for me to unlearn, you know, so maybe adopting something like Bitcoin or whatever is easier, because it's not as, I haven't got much, what should I say, I've got less of a worldview to break down and start from scratch than I have like your friend who works for a credit card company. He's probably trained in economics, he probably did an economics degree or whatever. He's got a lot more of a bitter pill to swallow and think, hang on, is everything I've been taught and paid £9,000 a year for, was that all bullshit? I can't handle that.
Yeah.
I can't handle that there's something so simple that like Bitcoin, which is, you know, as you were saying in your last video, like, how can it be this simple?
Yeah.
Is all I've got to do is just
buy it,
you know, buy some Bitcoin
and not lose it,
and you know, escape this inflation crap. Well, yeah.
I think that is the thing. It is too simple, and 100%. I do agree. I think the smarter you are, the harder it is to actually really understand it. It's that whole like bell curve thing. I think, you know, like when you start, like you have the people on either end of the bell curve who are like super smart or like just not smart, and then
you've got
the
like
ones in the middle.
Low IQ. Low IQ is like, just buy Bitcoin and hold it, and then you've got the ones in the middle. It's like, no, it can't be this simple. And then the guy at the end is like some professors like, just buy Bitcoin. You know,
figured it all out now. Yeah. No, it is so true. So the other main school of government-approved economic thought in our day and age is the Monetarist school, whose intellectual father is Milton Friedman. Monetarists are better understood as the battered wives of the Keynesians. They are there to provide a weak, watered-down, strawman version of a free market argument to create the illusion of a climate of intellectual debate, and to be constantly and comprehensively rebutted to safely prevent the intellectually curious from thinking of free markets seriously. The
It's controlled up. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Controlled opposition.
The percentage of economists who are actually monetarists is minuscule compared to Keynesians, but they are given far too much space to express their ideas as if there are two equal sides. Monetarists largely agree with Keynesians on the basic assumptions of the Keynesian models, but find elaborate and sophisticated mathematical quibbles with some conclusions of the model, which exceptions always lead them to dare to suggest a slightly reduced role for government in the macroeconomy, which immediately gets them dismissed as heartless evil capitalist scum who do not care about the poor. Monetarists generally oppose Keynesian efforts to spend money to eliminate unemployment, arguing that in the long run the effect of unemployment will be eliminated while causing inflation. Instead, monetarists prefer tax cuts to stimulate the economy, because they argue that the free market will better allocate resources than government spending. While this debate over tax cuts versus spending increases rages on, the reality is that both policies result in increased government deficits, which can only be financed with monetized debt, effectively an increase in the money supply. However, the central tenet of monetarist thought is for the pressing need for governments to prevent collapses in the money supply and or drops in the price level, which they view as the root of all economic problems. A decline in the price level, or deflation, as the monetarists and Keynesians like to call it, would result in people hoarding their money, reducing their spending, causing increases in unemployment, causing a recession. most worryingly for monetarists, deflation is usually accompanied by collapses in the banking sector balance sheets, and because they too share an aversion for understanding cause and effect, it thus follows that central banks must do everything possible to ensure that deflation never happens. For the I can never say that word. Canonical treatment of why monetarists are so scared of deflation, see a 2002 speech by former chairman of the Federal Reserve Ben Bernanke entitled "Deflation: Making Sure It Doesn't Happen Here."
It's almost as if like the only two allowed views in economics in this system, both of them like to print more money. You know, yeah. It's almost like politics with that. You've got the left wing opponent, you've got the right wing opponent. That's the only two views we're allowed. Anything outside of that, oh no, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to talk about that.
Exactly. Exactly that. The sum total of the contribution of both these schools of thought is the consensus taught in undergraduate macroeconomics courses across the world, that the central bank should be in the business of expanding the money supply at a controlled pace to encourage people to spend more and thus keep the unemployment level sufficiently low. Should a central bank contract the money supply or fail to expand it adequately, then a deflationary spiral can take place, which would discourage people from spending their money and thus harm unemployment and cause an economic downturn. Such is the nature of this debate that most mainstream economists and textbooks do not even consider the question of whether the money supply should be increased at all, assuming that its increase is a given and discussing how central banks need to manage this increase and dictate its rates. The creed of Keynes, which is universally popular today, is the creed of consumption and spending to satisfy immediate wants. By constantly expanding the money supply, central banks' monetary policy makes saving and investment less attractive, and thus it encourages people to save and invest less while consuming more. The real impact of this is the widespread culture of conspicuous consumption, where people live their lives to buy ever larger quantities of crap they do not need. When the alternative to spending money is witnessing your savings lose value over time, you might as well enjoy spending it before it loses its value. The financial decisions of people also reflect on all other aspects of their personality, engendering a high time preference in all aspects of life. Depreciating currency causes less saving, more borrowing, more short-termism in economic production and in artistic and cultural endeavours, and perhaps most damagingly, the depletion of the soil of its nutrients, leading to ever lower levels of nutrients in food. So on that point, not only does it incentivize crappy spending, but it also this was a big light bulb for me recently. It also reduces the incentive to work today, because any work that you do today and then save is useless in the future, or not useless, but like it's worth less in the future. So there is this, I've noticed this with particularly like young people. So I've got some cousins who are all in like 20s, early 20s and whatever. There's almost this like, what's the point?
Yeah.
To a lot of the conversations I have with them. They're just like, well, I can't afford a house. Like if I just start going rent, if I rent, like I literally couldn't do anything. So we may as well just stay at home with mum and dad, because why not? And then because we're staying at home with mum and dad, what's the point? What's the point of me like working really hard? Because even if I do, like I can't save enough to ever get anywhere that I want to get to. So it's just like there's this real about and not all of them are like that, and not and they don't say it in those words as such, but that is the general message.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That I get from like any young person today is even, like very similar.
Even, you know, starting a business now, there's so many hurdles and so many things that you have to do to or even, I mean, this whole thing with capital gains tax, like it was I think it was like 2 years ago, you could make 6,000 a year. Now it's 3,000 before you pay capital gains. And they're on about changing it to 1,000. It's basically just completely disincentivizes anybody from taking any risks and trying to make any profit or trade or do anything, because
it's just terrible.
It's demoralizing, basically. And yeah, it's people are demoralized.
Like that's what it is. I paid 400 quid the other week, and I don't even know why. For something that I was totally unaware of about business, like because we've been living away for like 8 years, and then we've been back about 2 years now. So it's really my first tax year that I'll have to like sort out this January. And it's like some of the stuff is ridiculous. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's just like, what is this for? Like, why am I paying this money? Like, can you explain like why you just want me to hand out this? It's not tax, it's not this, it's not like, so what is this? Like, what is this 400 quid for? It's just, honestly, is like, it's ridiculous. It's an absolute joke, the whole thing. It really is. But yeah, I think like
it's demoralizing. Yeah,
when there is that, like, if imagine your house is just getting way cheaper. So this time in 10 years, the house that you're looking at is way cheaper. Like, not even just a bit cheaper, like 10 times cheaper. Like, it's lost 95% of its value. Then wouldn't you, like, isn't that an incentive then to work now so that you can?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah.
You know, like that is the incentive that everyone needs. And this is the crazy thing, is like, so I actually just worked out like what our house was when we bought it in 2022, and it's lost 90% of its value in 3 years.
What do you mean? How has it lost 90% of its value?
Exactly. So this is my next video, actually, which is why I didn't want to say this, but
give us a teaser for the 2 people that are still watching after an hour and a half.
I feel like that is the teaser. That is the opener.
Oh, go on then. No,
I might as well just tell you, for being here for an hour and a half. I'll just tell you the video. So
is it to do? Yeah, go on.
Well, go on. What were you going to say?
Well, is it a combination? Well, no, it has to be. So you said your house has lost what?
90% in 3 years, and that is
of
fact.
its value. Of its value.
Yes.
So is it to do with the purchasing power of the pound compared to the actual price of the house?
So the house has also gone up thousands of pounds.
Yeah. In
that time.
But it's gone down 90%.
Compared to what? Compared to what?
Compared to Bitcoin.
There you go.
Interesting.
Don't you think that's mad though? It's so I price things in Bitcoin all the time now. Like, whenever I go anywhere and spend anything, like, so I just took my kids. My wife was away at the weekend. I took my kids to the farm and I paid like 15,000 sats. Is that right? Have I just worked that out?
About 15 quid.
Yeah. So yeah, it was about 15 quid to go to this farm and like get some little farm food, and they've fed the goats and all lions and shit like that. Apparently they weren't allowed to feed the lions, which I thought was a bit weird. But they like that. I do that all the time. Like, with everything, I price everything in sats. Whereas I had never worked that out, and I was like, oh my god! Like, it's literally gone from like 21 Bitcoin in 2022 to now 2.6 Bitcoin. And I was just like, how did I not know this? And why is no one saying this? Like, your house has decreased by 90% in 3 years, and no one knows this. That's not like 16 years. It's not 10 years. It's just 3 years. It's just like, it's mind blowing to me. And that's the thing though, is like, is that going to happen again for these next 3 years? Probably not, because like I've been saying, I think next year is going to be like a bit of a downturn for everything. So people will just be selling like, Bitcoin is not a safe haven asset at the moment. It just doesn't act like that. People do not see it like that. Hardly anyone understands. Like, hardly anyone even nearly understands it. I don't think I even understand it, and I'm doing this all the time at the minute, really. But the point is like, within the next 5-10 years, I think that will happen again. I think your house will go down another 90%, and then another 90%, and then another 90%. And if people were valuing their time and effort like this, you know, it gives you that kick up the bum to go and do something like an Uber Eats, because
100. I was just thinking that. Yeah,
you're not saving in pounds, you're saving in Bitcoin, mate.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking that, would I do that if I was just had a, if I wasn't buying Bitcoin with that? No, probably not. Like, because what's the point? It's only an extra.
What's the point? That is the thing.
Exactly.
That's the thing that I've noticed with everyone at the minute. It's like, what's the point in doing the extra thing? And even so, I've called over 1,000 local businesses in, what's that, about the last 18 months. I haven't been doing this for like the last 6 months at all. But speaking to local businesses, they are all saying the same thing. They're like, they have no intention of scaling their marketing, because they're like, there's no point. Like, I don't. It's a hassle to find anyone that even wants to work. Because why does anyone want to work? Because what's the point? Whereas it changes everything. Like, if everyone starts seeing there's a point, and if everything's getting cheaper, there is a point in working right now. Like, go and do that graft. Go and do those things. The incentive
has changed. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, the way I justify the Uber Eats is, it's like, okay, well, let's say, you deliver a McDonald's to somebody for £5. Well, if I'm buying sats with that, in 10 years' time, that £5, or that say, 5,000 sats might be the equivalent of, well, it might have done a 10x. It might be a £50.
Yeah,
so it's like, or at least it's like, would I want to go and deliver a McDonald's to somebody, which is going to take me 10 minutes, for £50? Yeah, I do.
Exactly.
So I'm out there for.
I genuinely think £50 is an underestimate of what will happen in the next 10 years.
Really?
But it might not be all the time. It's not like it will just be there. It's not like it will go to like 2 million and just sit there.
You think it will hit a mil?
Yeah, I think. Well, like, what is it? If just using the 4-year cycles, then to 2030 with the next low, and 2034 will be the low after that. So, well, yeah,
in 10 years.
So, 2026 is the next low, supposedly, 4-year cycle. So then it'll be 2030, 2034. So that'll be 2 more cycles between them. And so, yeah, I mean, 2032, 2033, sometime around there, I would be surprised if it hasn't gone that high. So, I mean, that's still when people hear that, they're like, "What? No way, no, that's crazy." But it's still only like a 20 trillion market cap, and gold is
2.
now. Yeah, at the moment it's 2, but to get to 1 million is only a 20 trillion.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And gold is still only like, what, 24, 25 maybe now, 26. I don't know, like, it's gone crazy recently, hasn't it? So gold is leading the way. It's like showing what's going to happen. And like, I really do think these next, as I was saying in the last one, these next sort of 5 years or so are going to be crazy for gold and commodities anyway.
Yeah. And
so Bitcoin is almost like in that same boat, really. Like, that's how people still see it. So I think it's got potential even sooner than that, like with this next if that big print does happen, like if there is this massive downturn next year, and then the government's like, oh god, and they've like dropped interest rates back down to 0, and then they just turn the money printer on, I think all bets are off. Like, no one has any idea of what's going to happen and when.
As Jeff Booth says, as long as it stays decentralized and secure, then why not?
It is repricing the entire system,
literally. But I think the whole thing with game theory and Bitcoin is that it doesn't benefit any bad actors to try and attack the network. Like, now we've got BlackRock, who have got a lot of Bitcoin, and even governments. I mean, BlackRock, some people would say, are literally like Satan.
Yeah.
But even them, it doesn't benefit them to attack Bitcoin or anything like that. It benefits them to just get involved. This is the genius of Bitcoin, is that it doesn't matter if you're enemies. you know, you could be mortal enemies, but it still benefits you to use Bitcoin. It doesn't matter whether you hate each other because it's not based on trust or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, BlackRock and me, the average Joe, can exchange Bitcoin. It doesn't matter whether we can't fiddle each other over. They can't screw me over because we're literally working on a system which is based on proof of work, not trust.
That's it.
You can't exploit. Even the exploiters can't exploit people within the Bitcoin world.
In fact, like that exact thing as well, that made me really dig this whole core knots thing, because I was getting fed up with just hearing like, oh, this core developer did this. Like, I don't, like, in as nice a way as possible, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, if Satoshi Nakamoto turned out to be like a massive paedophile, like serial killer or something like that, would that mean that you wouldn't want to use Bitcoin?
Yeah, it doesn't. That doesn't matter. Yeah, as such. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, people are just pulling out core stuff, like, you know, all over the place. It's like, but I just want to know the facts. Like, is Core 30 actually going to kill Bitcoin? Do you know what I mean? And if not, then I don't care. Like, it's almost as simple as that. And it's like, sure, they might get corrupted and coerced, and there could be like other stuff going on. So it's important to like be aware of other stuff that's going on. But I think this whole hoo-ha has come about from the Core 30 update purely over the op return. So let's figure out, is that actually as bad as everyone is making out? And if not, then can we just all get back to like sorting Bitcoin out and, like, you know, helping people understand Bitcoin? But I get it. Like, some people have like got it to be in the bonnet that they are pure evil and they have been coerced, but it's just all from, it's like, but how have you got any proof of this? Like, is there anything like other than, or he said this 3 years ago, or like, you know, like, which is just what it's becoming now. It's become like watching EastEnders, which I have no time for. Like, I do not care. Like, I just want to know like the actual fact. And like, I think that's the beauty of Bitcoin, is like you're saying, you could be your worst enemy, but it
doesn't care.
It's permissionless. Like, anyone can use it, anyone can benefit from it. It does not care. Anyway, I can't actually see the screen now. It's gone zoomed in, I think, how you had it. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's weird.
Let me try again.
Well, it might just be my side, because obviously I just jumped off and jumped back on.
What about now? Shall I finish this last bit then, because I can get it up?
Yeah, go for it.
In contrast to these two schools of thought stands the classical tradition of economics, which is the culmination of hundreds of years of scholarship from around the world, commonly referred to today as the Austrian school, in honour of the last great generation of economists from Austria in its golden age pre-World War One. Yeah, this school draws on the work of classical Scottish, French, Spanish, Arab and ancient Greek economists in explicating its understanding of economics. Unlike Keynesian and monetarist fixation on rigorous numerical analysis and mathematical sophistry, the Austrian school is focused on establishing an understanding of phenomena in a causal manner and logically deducing implications from demonstrably true axioms. The Austrian theory of money posits that money emerges in a market as the most marketable commodity and most saleable asset, the one asset whose holders can sell with the most ease in favourable conditions. An asset that holds its value is preferable to an asset that loses value, and savers who want to choose a medium of exchange will gravitate towards assets that hold value over time as monetary assets. Network effects mean that eventually only one or a few assets can emerge as media of exchange. For Mises, the absence of control by government is a necessary condition for the soundness of money, seeing as government will have the temptation to debase its money whenever it begins to accrue wealth as savers invest in it. By placing a hard cap on the total supply of bitcoins as discussed in Chapter 8, Nakamoto was clearly unpersuaded by the arguments of the standard macroeconomics textbook and more influenced by the Austrian school, which argues that the quantity of money itself is irrelevant, that any supply of money is sufficient to run an economy of any size, because the currency units are infinitely divisible, and because it is only the purchasing power of money in terms of real goods and services that matters, and not its numerical quantity, as Ludwig von Mises put it. This is a quote. Should we finish with this quote?
Sure.
This is a quote here from von Mises. The services money renders are conditioned by the height of its purchasing power. Nobody wants to have in his cash holding a definite number of pieces of money or a definite weight of money. He wants to keep a cash holding of a definite amount of purchasing power. As the operation of the market tends to determine the final state of money's purchasing power at a height at which the supply of and the demand for money coincide, there can never be an excess or a deficiency of money. Each individual and all individuals together always enjoy fully the advantages which they can derive from indirect exchange and the use of money. No matter whether the total quantity of money is great or small, the services which money renders can be neither improved nor impaired by changing the supply of money. The quantity of money available in the whole economy is always sufficient to secure for everybody all that money does and can do. In fact, how far have we got left? Oh, we got a long way left, actually. Should we call it a day there?
Yeah. The
Right,
quantity of money available in the whole economy is always sufficient to secure for everybody all that money does and can do.
Yeah. So it's not about the number. It's not about number go up. It's
Exactly.
about value, purchasing power of the medium of exchange.
I've had quite a few comments actually on that, of like, about how is Bitcoin going to replace like all the money? Like, there's only 21 million. That's not enough. And it's like, well, because it splits into 100 million.
Yeah, so there's 21 quintillion units.
Exactly. It's yeah. Is it quadrillion? Quadrillion.
Is it quadrillion?
2.1 quadrillion, and at the moment there's around $1 quadrillion floating around in the whole world. Right. So there's already, even with current levels, there's 2 times the amount.
Yeah, and I've also heard a critique from the other side where people are saying, how is 21 quadrillion units? How is that finite? That sounds crazy, but it's, you know, the flawed arguments. Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That
is the number.
Again, these people are thinking in the terms of the number being important, when actually, as he's just laid out in the Austrian school,
it's just not changing.
It's purchasing power.
Yeah.
is the most important thing, rather than the unit, the number.
Yeah. And I've even had someone who said something like, well, with the amount of money printing that's going on, surely we're going to go past 2.1 quadrillion. But as he said there, that's why I like reread that last sentence, is like, you just make work whatever the number is that you have, because like, once you know that number, like, as in, the point is, right now there's already over 2 times the amount of satoshis than what there are dollars that are available. So of course we can make this work. Just because money printing has gone up and everything like that, it doesn't mean that in the future then it's not going to work. Like, we're going to run, it's because we're living in this scam system already. Like, that's not how money should work. Like, money there should just be a finite amount. Ideally, you know, we've never had, the best we've had is with gold, which is not finite. But that's the next best thing, really.
Yeah.
And you can see what happened when the Romans stayed on the gold standard properly. You can see what happened in the 19th century when it was on a gold standard properly, and like with the whole railroads and all the like the development and improvement in society was huge during all of these times, sort of thing. So it could just be a coincidence, but I don't think it is.
Should we call it a day?
No.
Right then, bro. If you're still with us after 1 hour 45, respect. Thanks for listening. Right, see you next time.
Cheers. See ya.